Okay, so then this is week 3 of the Neo-tarian Diet. And we're going to talk in depth about meal tracking and meal prepping. Very, very important parts. And I will say right now, meal prepping is the most important thing that you're going to learn on all of this and how to be successful. So we'll go over a lot of that stuff, okay? So balanced, nutrient-dense diet, tracking, journaling. Oh, don't need any more. So how to track and journal meals. So a meal tracker or a journal, very beneficial. You can use like paper if you want. I can actually, print out a little journal thing for you to fill out and do it by hand. Everyone, I think, these days has a smartphone, so using your phone to track it is a lot more convenient than trying to carry around a piece of paper or a notepad or anything like that. But journaling, it provides you evidence of what you're doing right, and then of course brings to attention the things that you're doing wrong. So the 3 big tips here: make sure you're logging all your snacks and drinks. If it goes in your mouth, write it down, enter it in. Try and do it before you eat or in the process of eating, because a lot of times you get done and you're just like, wait a second, what did I have? Or you just plain will forget an ingredient or something that you added to it. It'll throw it off. Stay consistent while you're doing this. And it does at times seem very tedious. I think in like the first few days, it's like, cool, I'm looking at, wow, I can look back at what I ate. And it's really cool. It's very, it's edifying to see what you've been doing. And then it slowly starts to get tedious and you don't want to do it anymore. But try and really focus on doing it for like 2 weeks. So just stay consistent with it. If you can go longer than 2 weeks, the bigger picture you give yourself, the more benefit you'll have by doing this. And you're going to check back in with your meal tracking at least once a month and record your meals. So right now, try and have a nice long stretch, 2 to 4 weeks of doing it, and then go ahead and stop. It's fine. You don't have to do it for the rest of your life or anything like that. But next month, check in and do it for a handful of days and see okay, I'm still on track, because you do get off. It's just like, if I was to say, yeah, you should have 4 ounces of chicken with your meal. You're like, well, how much is 4 ounces? Okay, weigh it. So you do, and you do that a bunch of times in the first few days. You're weighing your chicken, and you're like, oh, I know how much this chicken is, this weighs. And then as time goes by, you're like, wait, I think this is a lot bigger than I used to eat. Go back and weigh it. Oh, wow, I'm up to 8 ounces. Whoops. So it's just always good to go back and check what you're doing. Let's see here. So it says I have provided a basic meal tracker. I don't think anyone used the meal tracker last time, the paper one, so I didn't bother printing it out. I have a paper one if you want to use paper, but otherwise the one on your phone is going to be the easiest thing possible. The thing right here in the middle of that paragraph, be honest with yourself. This is for you. Not like you have to turn it into a teacher and the teachers are going to grade you on your performance. So this is for you, so don't cheat yourself. Put in everything that you ate, right? The MyFitnessPal app you see there on the bottom, that's what I recommend using. There's other ones out there. You can use them, of course. The ones that I've used in the past is MyFitnessPal. I really liked it. All right, flipping over to the next page. Okay, your desired macro breakdown and the eat, sweat, sleep chart. So thinking back on what we learned last week about macronutrients, this pie chart there on the left side, you should have a pretty good understanding of what foods are going to comprise the different categories. So I couldn't find exactly the one I wanted online, but this is pretty close. I really want you to be having like 50% carbs. Remember, carbs are anything that grow out of the ground, so this is your fruits and vegetables too. And complex carbs. This isn't like you see in the food pyramid and they show your breads category or your carbs category, and it's got regular white russet potatoes and bread, baguettes and things like that, and cereals. This is not the carbs I'm talking about. It's the carbs we talked about in the complex carbs. So sweet potatoes and beans and whole grains, that's your carbs. But like I just said, it's also fruits and vegetables. And you got to think of your vegetables in a way where if you took them and you compacted them down, you took all the moisture out of it, what would you have left? You know, think of it calorie-wise. So when you're looking in the MyFitnessPal app, which is why it's so helpful to use, you can see at the end of the day, it'll give you a pie chart of how you did. And I don't think that, like, if you put in your goal into MyFitnessPal, it will tell you to do something probably different than this in terms of your split ratios. Now, and that's I guess the most conventional wisdom that you'll find says have more protein. If you want to lose weight, eat higher protein. I've tried to convey to you that eating lots of protein isn't very healthy. Or we're not necessarily designed to do that. We're not animals like dogs with these short intestinal tracts that meat just goes right through them. It sits in us for a long time. So going high protein, it can help you short term to burn fat, yes, but remember this is like a long term, like you should be eating like this forever. And if you eat like this forever, you'll still be able to burn fat, you'll still be able to get to your goals, you'll just, you just won't have to change your eating plan once you get there. And it's not necessarily a quick fix, it's long term. Okay, so the last part of this first paragraph here, or it says, so this macro breakdown is desirable for all different types of goals. Whether you want to build muscle, whether you want to maintain, whether you want to lose fat, this is what I still believe it should look like for your macronutrient breakdown. Different goals require different workouts, not necessarily different nutrition. Most everyone says, oh, you got to change nutrition for this and that, and that's where you're starting to get into some more of the fad diets, where you're adjusting macronutrient levels to get the desired outcome. And yes, it does work, but it's not long term. It's the big picture that matters. Change your workouts. The workouts that you're doing in here are the right ones to do for metabolism boosting, for fat burning, all that, right? So just stick with a nutrition plan, and then if you have a different goal, if it changes, you're like, okay, I don't really want to really focus on this anymore, let's switch to this. We can tell you how to do that within your workouts. But this is how I eat year round. If I want to build muscle, this is how I eat. Really, the pie chart, so like this is the pie chart when I'm trying to burn fat. When I want to gain muscle, the pie chart just gets bigger, but it has the same ratios. I just up my calorie intake, but I still eat the same amounts of the same ratios. Okay, and if you're trying to maintain, it just shrinks down a little bit. Your calories shrink. If you're trying to cut, you're going to shrink down even a little bit more. You just have a little bit more reserve on your calorie intake. You're not eating quite as much, and then you can pump in more. In your carbs category, you're just pumping in more vegetables or taking up more space. It does make you eat less calories. The eat, sweat, sleep chart. It's kind of hard to say. I was trying to say that earlier and I was like, I kept stumbling on it. Eat, sweat, sleep chart. This is important because it will, it's eye-opening. Wow, majority of my day is spent focusing on nutrition. Yes, it should be, right? So you sleep 7 to 10 hours, nutrition 12 to 15 hours of that day, exercise only 1 to 2 hours. Got to get your sleep. Got to make sure you're focusing on proper nutrition. So the big pieces of the pie, you should, pay attention to because they're big pieces of the pie. But also you got to focus on that little piece, right? And so when you're in here, this is why the boot camp is constantly changing and evolving, and we're not always doing the same thing because you got to stay with what current exercise science says this is optimal. Because it's important. What do you do in that 1 hour makes a big deal. If you're only spending an hour a day working out and you're doing a workout that doesn't shoot you towards your goal, you're wasting that hour almost. I mean, you're doing something, you're being active, but let's optimize it and let's do a workout that's exactly in line with where you want to go. Okay? Dropping down to counting calories. I hate counting calories, but it is useful at times to give you a picture of what you're doing. So, like I say, don't get too wrapped up in counting calories. It's way more about the quality of food versus quantity. So having the right quality of food, the whole grains, the complex carbs, lots of vegetables coming in, healthy fats, that's the important part. Don't get wrapped up in I need to have only 1,600 calories today in order to lose. Only 1,600 calories. Don't worry about that so much. It's good to be aware, have an idea, but really focus on quality. The app will show you how many calories you're having. And let's see here. So we read more about what I said so I can make sure I'm not missing anything. Right, so ballpark of how much energy you're consuming each day. You could be consuming way too much food, and I know this happens a lot more than most people realize, consuming way too few of calories. So either end of the spectrum, you can gain weight from that. You have too much, yeah, okay, surplus of energy coming in, it's going to go to storage. And then you have way too little, and your body goes into survival mechanisms, and it tries to hold on to everything you give it, and it drops your metabolism down because you're not feeding yourself enough. So you got to be right in that sweet spot. So you're putting in your body weight and your height and your activity level into the app, and it's going to show you should have about this many calories. That's a good good ballpark to stick around, so you know that you're not under consuming or over consuming. And then after doing this for the 2 to 4 weeks, you'll really be able to know, okay, I know how much this feels like eating. I've been doing it for a while. MyFitnessPal app, it does calculate. There's a website right here listed. This metabolic calculator is very precise. Takes in many different factors into how many calories you should be having. So just to get an even better idea, go to that website, put in all your information, and then see what that says, and then compare it with what MyFitnessPal says, and just keep that in mind. If MyFitnessPal is saying you should have 200 calories more, 200 calories less versus the hikingupwards.com calculator, bear that in mind as you're gauging what you eat throughout the day. Okay, so flipping over. So an idea of how the different macronutrients stack up calorie-wise. You've got 1 gram of protein is worth 4 calories, 1 gram of carbs, 4 calories, 1 gram of fat, 9 calories. The digestion of whole foods, which rich in fiber, uses twice as many calories as processed foods. So if you were to have a piece of white bread and say it's 25 calories, and then you have a piece of nutrient-dense whole grain bread that, white bread, you can just bend it, flip it around, it's like, hey, it's still the same. And you take a piece of that whole grain bread and you barely bend it at all and it just crumbles. You're like, oh, what is this? Right? It's horrible for making sandwiches, but it's healthy for you. And so if you were to have a piece of that whole grain bread, maybe then, wow, one slice of this is 50 calories. Well, guess what? Like it says here, it burns twice as many calories while you're digesting it. So it does help to even things out, and this is goes back to, don't worry as much about calorie intake as what kind of foods you're eating, because the right foods will even burn more calories while you're digesting them. Burning healthy fats for energy creates a thermogenic effect in your body. So a thermogenic effect just means it gives off heat as you're burning it, right? So you burn fats and it gives off heat. I don't know if I've mentioned this last week or not, but and I know I have in past presentations on nutrition, but the Sherpas that take people up the Himalayas, they eat butter as they're doing it, and they do eat these straight sticks of butter because when you're burning fat, you give off heat, and so it keeps them warm. They get the calories they need to keep hiking up that mountain, but they also keeps them warm because it's giving off heat from inside their body. Perfect. So burning fats is a great thing. When you're thermogenic and you warm up, your body has to use calories to cool you down. Burning calories just from those foods you're eating, okay? Another thing, green tea has a very strong thermogenic effect. It also is rich in antioxidants, very good for your health and longevity. So drink green tea throughout the day. You can also just pop green tea pills. Very easy to do. You can get a ton of, it's the ECGC is the ingredient that you're looking for. That's the thermogenic effect. And so green tea pills are definitely the easiest way. I mean, sipping on a couple, you can have 1 green tea pill. It's like 4 to 5 cups of green tea. So most green tea extract pills are going to be decaffeinated. Pretty much all of them. You can obviously find green tea pills that still contain the caffeine, but most all of them, even the ones we sell here, have been decaffeinated. Okay, meal prepping. This is where you make your money. All right, so it's easy and efficient once you get into the habit of doing it. At first, it's new. It's going to take time and adjustments, but you'll get it. Let's see here, and like I say here, it does save money. It really does, because eating out is way more expensive than eating your own food. So if you're meal prepping and you're putting your Tupperwares out and you're getting everything ready, you're going to be better off in so many different ways. So you're going to set and dedicate 1 to 3 hours for meal prepping. This can be just once a week. It doesn't have to be like every day, of course. You don't need that much time. And as you go along and you do this, you start getting into meal prepping, you'll learn the quick and easy ways to do this, every day. So you don't have to really dedicate the whole hour. You can just make extra for your meal, and then in the cleanup, you've got, I did mention this last time, dinner at home, my wife just makes sure to make enough, and then I've got enough for 2 meals the next day, and she's got enough for 1 meal the next day. And I eat 2 meals at night, and she eats 1 meal at night, and so that's a lot of meals in one little cooking session. It still only takes her like half an hour to do it, and there's literally like 6 to 7 meals that she makes in that one little half-hour period. Okay, so be prepared to cook enough servings to last you for a whole week. Use the oven or barbecue to mass cook your meat. Begin to prep and cook complex carb on the stove. Potatoes can be boiled or baked. Rinse, clean, cut your veggies and fruits. Stovetop to pan cook or blanch vegetables. I read something not too long ago that I didn't necessarily know before. You might find this interesting as well. But pan cooking your vegetables with oil holds more nutrients in it than steaming them. Interesting. I didn't see any in-depth research attached to that statement, but I was reading through a website that I do find reputable with their information, so I was like, okay, cool, I'll start doing that. I guess the other bonus of, putting them in a pan to cook them is you can add healthy fats to it. So you got your veggies and healthy fats. If you're just steaming it, it's just a little bit of water. That's fine and all, but if you can throw some healthy fats in there and then hopefully preserve some of the nutrients a little bit better, might as well do that. I find they taste better too. I like it better when it's cooked in a pan with a little oil and a little salt. I love it, a salt. Okay, so have Tupperware and gallon freezer bags ready to store it. Put meals together as planned, and you can lay this all out so it's you know what you're gonna do. You don't have to create as you go. Let's see here. Homemade stir fry keeps well in gallon freezer bags. Of course, if you are using frozen foods, make sure it's already out. Flipping page. So these are some tips on how to do meal prep properly. Once more, again, having the right gear is important. So getting Tupperware that you like, that you want to use. For a while, I was using the little cheap Glad Tupperwares, and that just, I don't know, it wasn't too fun. The lids pop off from time to time. I'm at Costco, I got this awesome set of Tupperwares. I'm like, okay, I'm getting those. It's weird. It's like buying new clothes. You just want to wear it, It's like, how do you get motivated to work out? You go buy new workout clothes. Get some new shoes. There you go. Same thing for Tupperware. It'll motivate you to meal prep, get you in the habit. If you fall out of love with meal prepping, go buy yourself something for meal prepping. There's lots of different cooler bags out there. If you have a cool cooler bag, you'll probably carry it around and use it. The one on the left there you see is probably more functional than cool looking. The one on the right kind of looks, first I thought it was a diaper bag, but it's a cooler bag. But there was lots of stuff online as I was looking for pictures of different kinds of cooler bags that some more fashionable than others, some way more functional, some that look like carry-on luggage for an airplane. I don't know who's that hungry. I'm a pretty hungry guy, but that's a lot of food. So it's right below there. This is important so remember that you're not supposed to put plastic containers of any kind into the microwave. Okay, when you microwave plastics, the plastic chemicals leach into your food. And once again, we're buying organic and doing all this trying to avoid toxins. So if you have all this beautiful organic food and you throw it in the microwave with plastic, shoot, you just blew it. So wherever you're going to be eating, if you're going to work in the microwave there, just keep a glass bowl. We've got glass bowls we use back here, so I don't have to worry about bringing glass with me. They do have obviously Tupperware, like the Pyrex Tupperwares that are glass. be a really heavy meal prep bag that you're carrying around with you, though, if it's full of like 4 different glass bowls. So if you can get around it, maybe you just carry one Pyrex thing if you don't, you can't make sure that you're going somewhere that has glass to use. Let's see here. Another helpful tip is keeping all your meal prep stuff in one spot in the kitchen. So if your Tupperwares are over there, and your other stuff's over here, and then some over there, and you're like going back and forth, constantly trying to, get everything ready. It's, the more convenient everything is, the easier it is, of course, to stay on target. So try and find shortcuts wherever possible. Even if it's just putting all your meal prep stuff in one cupboard right in front of you, right next to the stove, so you can just boom, go, done, in the fridge. As noted in the Eat, Sweat, Sleep chart, nutrition is the biggest component of your day and therefore deserves some serious attention. For more ideas and inspiration, hit up Pinterest, go to Instagram. I mean, people love this stuff. People make a living off of posting stuff on meal prepping. So you can just put in meal prepping and you'll find all these different cool things and different ideas that you'll be able to employ. Okay. The last thing there is really important. It's a learned skill. It's not going to be easy at first. Anytime learning something new, it's a little challenge to it. But practice makes perfect. So there you go. Okay. Questions? Plastic in plastic in the dishwasher. I've never heard anything about that being a problem because it's not like going into your food. It's like when you're microwaving it, your food's in there, and it's got the microwaves are going through the plastic into the water that's in your food, and they're interacting together. So yeah, microwave is fine, or dishwasher fine.
My fitness pal, and I'm looking at the pie chart. It's confusing because you count beans as carb, which is.
Yeah.
It's also counted as protein.
Right. Yeah. So that's a really good point. So when you're using the MyFitnessPal app, this is why I love MyFitnessPal, because if you're just trying to think as you're putting together a meal, you're like, okay, I got beans, I got hemp seeds, I got some chicken, I got some carbs over here, and they cross boundaries, right? There are certain foods like quinoa has protein in it. You're like, how do I keep track? That's where the MyFitnessPal app is so super awesome, because it'll do it all for you. So at the end of the day, you'll see how you did. And you can even see kind of like as you're going through the day, okay, because it's going to take those hemp seeds and it's going to put some into protein, some into carbs, some into fats for you, right? So you don't have to try and like mentally break it down. You just kind of like, when you're making your meals, you're just ballparking it. You're just guessing, okay, I'll just go with this, that, and this. I think that's about right. And then after you eat it, you put it all into your MyFitnessPal app, you can look, you're like, okay, I was pretty close.
So trust the MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, right. Because it's MyFitnessPal will see, it knows, you can put in Trader Joe's hemp seeds. It knows.
Well, you can scan it. You can scan the barcode
Right.
on the back.
Yeah, scan the barcode on it. Yeah, it's very intuitive.
And then it automatically, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better. I've got the one for the Fitbit now, and I like the MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
But I'm tracking on this because it's similar. But you can't scan the barcode.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, I have all the questions. You said last week you were going to tell us more about good healthy bread. I try to avoid it, but Chris has got to have it now. It's better if you have good bread than if I see some.
Yes. So I have noticed for myself that sprouted grain breads are, like, I can eat those and not gain weight. As I was, going through bodybuilding stuff, and there's bread on hand for the boys because they love toast. And I remember my wife switched, and she started getting a different bread, and it was, it wasn't horribly unhealthy, but I'm like, I'll have some of this, and started eating bread for a few days. I'm like, it'll be fine. And I'm like, gosh, dang it, I can see it on me. I'm gaining weight. This is crap. And I'm like, honey, can we switch back to that old bread, the sprouted bread? She's like, yeah, sure, fine. That doesn't seem to add any weight on me. I can eat it with more abandoned.
Killer, sprouted greens.
Yeah, Dave's Killer is good. You know, it's got a lot of whole grains in it, so you're not having as much of the processed flours in there. And that's just really what you're trying to avoid is processed flour. The more processed something it is, the more it's going to spike your blood sugar. And the less whole grains, it's going to, you know, like I mentioned, is you burn more calories digesting something with whole grains. So if the bread has whole grains in it, like Dave's Killer bread, also has seeds and healthy fats in it, right? So that's, yeah, kind of the road you want to go down is finding the breads that contain the whole grain seeds, less of the processed flours. And like like I was saying before, if you buy bread and you can take it and you bend it and it doesn't crumble, there's probably a lot of processed flour in there, or more processed flour than you want to have. It should be pretty frustrating to make a sandwich with the bread if it's good for you.
You mentioned stone ground flour.
Yeah, stone ground's the best way to go because it's not pulverizing because it's such a powder. Okay. Good. Last week we were talking about oils. To go back to that. Okay, so the oils that you want to use would be, so avocado oil is the best for cooking because it has the highest burn point at like 540 degrees. And then going down to olive oil at 450 degrees. And then it was, no, 410 degrees for olive oil. And then 350 for coconut oil. So most times if you're cooking in a pan, the temperature is going to get above 350, so that coconut oil will burn, and then that will reduce some of the bioavailability of the goodness in the fats. So coconut oil not the best to cook with unless it's on medium to low heat. So baking a lot of times, coconut oil would be good for because you're baking on 350. Great. Otherwise, olive oil, avocado oil, most all other oils you should probably steer clear of because they are highly processed and refined. And that's that. Okay, go forth and be healthy.